Earlier that day, a group of soldiers are fearing for their lives, as a large dragon breathes a heavy wave of fire. Farmer Al Wayne succeeds in promoting his farming skills to level 10, which for some reason increases his warrior abilities to 65,000 points. His best friend Testa talks about how he envies his friend's farming skill. Not to mention all the things Al can do as he cannot. Al had plans on selling his produce at the capital. He sees adventurers fighting an S-rank dragon. He looks at the dragon, then looks at his carrot. In an attempt to distract it by throwing a carrot, only for the carrot to kill the dragon. In Magus City, a criminal kidnaps Princess Fallies, but with his new abilities Al saves her. The man tells the boy to get away from her, but is subdued. The princess wishes to learn his name, but Al then runs off because he's late. The merchant that buys his produce praises his work. At the gate of the capital, he's stopped by the guard. The girl from before reveals that she's the reason he's been stopped. She introduces herself as the first princess of the royal capital of Magus. Fallies Magus, under royal order, she wishes to know his name. Fallies ask for Al to serve the royal family. Al thinks internally about the possibility of him being beheaded if he refuses the offer. He worriedly tries his best to refuse the offer and leave, but Fallies won't let him. Fallies can't understand the decline, arguing she'll pay more and offer him a large field of land, giving him a gift of 33,000 square meters. Al is surprised why she wants him so badly, revealing the kidnapper had over 500 warrior points, impressive since normal humans typically only have 50. Adventurers have 130 points and knights/captains have 600. Yet Al defeated a much higher opponent. The princess begs to see his stats, but Al knows it wouldn't be a good idea. Adventurers come back to inform the guards that the Forest Dragoon was defeated but not them. In this confusion, Al drives him cart back home. News reaches Magus of a monster army not seen since Demon Lord Macbeth was killed. With the king confused since the last hero supposedly defeated him, Officer Cecil demands they destroy the army. This turns into an argument about what to do. The guards want the king to escape, but the king demands he stay with his people. Al finally gets home, but before he can rest, his best friend comes by to inform him of some news. The villagers have to leave because of the demon general's army being nearby. Al runs out to check on his crops. But after luring Fallies and her father, the king, away from Magus, he reveals he is actually Romeo Vanded, Macbeth's demon general, and intends to murder Fallies and the king, and then pose as the king to rule Magus himself. Al suddenly intervenes, having worried the army would destroy Magus, leaving him nowhere to sell his vegetables. Romeo is defeated with just one punch from Al. As a reward, Fallies offers Al a 33,000 square meter field to farm, in exchange for him registering as an adventurer to serve the kingdom when needed. Al agrees but realizes he was tricked when he visits the field and finds a wasteland unsuitable for farming. Fallies takes Al to the guild to register with guild secretary Helen. Al accepts his first quest, so Helen gives him her old robe as beginner's equipment. In the forest, a super rare black dragon appears with such a terrifying aura even Al is frozen with fear. Luckily, it ignores him completely. Helen suffers nightmares and memory lapses. Al reports the dragon to the guild, which, by appraising its stats, he identifies as Oroboros the Malevolent. Helen abruptly remembers a buried memory of her brother Rai, who was killed by Oroboros and was the original wearer of Al's new robe. Helen's adoptive mother, Juan, is surprised Helen gave Al her robe, explaining when she found Helen as a child all she had was amnesia and that robe. A young postman named Reeks delivers Al a letter from his mother. Al and Fallies access reports from the day Helen was found and discover Oroboros had destroyed Honel village, which may have been Helen's birthplace. Searching Honel, Al encounters Rai as a ghost, though Fallies is unable to see him, and Rai explains he has waited 15 years for someone who could see him. In flashback to when Honel was destroyed, it is shown Oroboros first terrified his victims to feed on their despair-filled souls. He then left Helen alive so she could spread the story, causing fear in other human villages so that in 15 years when Oroboros returned, a new feast of human despair would be ready. Rai became a ghost so he could watch Helen and now warns Al Oroboros will want Helen and the city of Magus. Al worries he is not strong enough, but Rai tells him that if Oroboros feeds on despair, then opposing emotions should weaken him. Al and Fallies rush back to Magus to prepare for Orobo's return. Helen, driven by her returning memories of Ray's death, confronts Oroboros in the forest to offer her life in exchange for Magus. Al finds Helen before she can commit suicide and punches Oroboros so hard he actually hurts him. He passes Helen a message from Rai that his death was not her fault and she needs to forgive herself. Helen's soul becomes filled with hope, a deadly poison to Oroboros whose stats fall so far Al's next punch knocks him unconscious. Al is shocked when Helen abruptly stabs him in the chest. Al is abruptly saved by Mirage, who reveals Helen is possessed by Oroboros and so grants Al his purification magic to heal his injury. Oroboros is confident Al won't attack Helen, only for Al to hit her with a powerful blow, revealing Helen had communicated with Al using her eyes. Oroboros attempts to possess Al but finds his mind filled only with a pure desire to farm. With no negative thoughts to manipulate, Oroboros is expelled and purified by Mirage. Al awakens in Magus where Helen and Fallies reveal Mirage also disappeared. Helen reveals that she can now turn any part of her body into dragon limbs at will, which she intends to use to protect others and live happily in Ray's memory. Days later, Reeks delivers Al a letter from his father asking him to visit them in Lurugus, and Al is excited to go as Lurugus is famous for its farming and excellent fertilizer. Helen grants Al a holiday and takes over his active quests, revealing with her dragon limbs she is now an F-rank adventurer. Fallies asks to accompany him to meet his parents, but fearing bringing a girl to his parents would cause misunderstandings, Al quickly leaves alone. On his journey, Al is almost violated by a lust-crazed male orc, but the orc is killed just in time by a young woman. The girl, Ruri, offers to escort Al to Lurugus. Reeks somehow finds them with another letter from Al's mother. Ruri is saddened by this as her own family don't care about her at all. Ruri makes camp, revealing her bag can hold numerous large items despite its small size, inherited from her hero ancestor who defeated Demon Lord Macbeth. Ruri is training and has heard Lurugus is plagued by accidents and demon sightings. She hopes to one day live up to the hero's legacy. Reaching Lurugus, Ruri is saddened by their separation. Al visits his parents, his overly doting housewife Mother Lucica and muscle-bound farmer Father Giles. Al merely mentions Ruri and Lucica goes wild, claiming Al is too young for girls, marriage and babies, comically punishing both Al and Giles. Giles is suspicious of Ruri as there are definitely no accidents or demon sightings in Lurugus. After purchasing his fertilizer, a sinister man lures Al to the forest with Ruri, revealing he has manipulated them with powerful illusion magic and even lured Ruri to Lurugus in the first place with fake rumors of demons as he knows she is the hero's descendant. The man identifies as Loki, a demon who took an interest in Al after he defeated Romeo and Oroboros. Loki is eliminating anyone who could stop the next Demon King. Ruri because she may one day be the hero, Al for his abilities, and Helen who absorbed Oroboros' power. Loki has leech monsters begin eating Al, but Al feeds them the fertilizer, which is also a pesticide, and the leeches die. Ruri feels shame for letting her family belittle her into feeling worthless. Her sudden belief in herself unlocks the hero's power and Loki is killed. Al passes out from exhaustion and Ruri realizes she has fallen in love with him. Al awakens hours later, but a new danger appears. Al is late home and Lucica is hunting for him. Fearing for Ruri's life if they are found together, Al carries her back to Lurugus just in time. Al decides to return to his farm. Lucica is concerned Al still insists on farming, and it is suggested Al only became a farmer due to a death in his past. With Ruri escorting him to Magus, they both worry demons may target them again and decide to keep each other safe. Though their promise flusters Ruri, Fallies has a difficult conversation with her father. Al learns monster attacks have halted all inter-kingdom trading, with many people now starving. The monsters are driven away by Prince Netulus of Antisburg Kingdom, wielding the sacred sword Levitin. Fallies abruptly informs Al she is leaving Magus forever. With the monsters gone, trade returns to normal, but everyone learns Fallies left to marry Netulus. Al receives a letter from Lucica, revealed as former leader of intelligence gathering group the Shadow Puppets, that Levitin is a fake. The monsters are being unwillingly controlled by a peaceful demon named Gazel, whose human lover is held hostage by Netulus. Al realizes Netulus faked the monster attacks so he could demand Phalles marry him in exchange for saving Magus. Al, Helen and Ruri hire Reeks to safely deliver them to Antisburg with his strangely efficient postman skills. Netulus leverages other kingdoms into giving him land, money and trade agreements in exchange for his protection from monsters and intends to marry Phalles in the morning. In Antisburg, Netulus is angry to overhear Phalles cry at never seeing Al again. Al, Helen and Ruri sneak into Antisburg intending to rescue Gazel's lover so Gazel will be free. Unfortunately, Al exposes them immediately, so Helen and Ruri fight the soldiers while Al rescues Gazel's lover and takes her to the church in time to crash the wedding. Phalles is overjoyed to see Al, who exposes Netulus's fraud. Reeks invades with his own monster army. With his lover returned, Gazel refuses to control the monsters and Netulus cannot repel them with the fake Levitin. Furious, Netulus reveals he sent another monster army to Magus, but Helen and Ruri had anticipated this and had organized Magus adventurers into a formidable army that defeats the monsters. With his crimes exposed, Netulus's own soldiers arrest him. Phalles declares she is in love with the shocked Al. The king happily accepts an unwilling Al as his future son-in-law, infuriating Ruri. In his role as a shadow puppet, Reeks shows the king evidence Netulus' plans were secretly masterminded by someone else. Phalles and Ruri develop an intense rivalry for Al, who ends up caught in the middle. They are shocked when Al claims another woman already has his heart. Al is later seen placing his harvest at a shrine to someone called Ilvia. 15 years ago, a young orphan named Ilvia was forced to steal crops to survive. Farmers caught her by surprise and decided to sold her to the slave traders, but Al's parents paid for everything she stole and adopted Ilvia. 2 years later, Lucica and Giles decided to buy a house in the city and went house hunting while Al and Ilvia looked after the farm. Al's best friend Testa claimed a treasure was hidden in the forest and invites him to search together. Ilvia wants to tag along but stopped by Al because the place might be dangerous for her. While searching, Testa told Al that Giles and Lucica planned to move into the city because the farmers still mistreated Ilvia badly. Al discovered an abandoned city in a cave but suddenly triggered a trap that caused a volcano to erupt, blocking out the sun with ash and killing all the crops. Getting cut off from the city by a collapsed bridge, people were forced to ration their remaining food as supplies couldn't get to them, nor could Giles and Lucica. Ilvia considered stealing again but instead secretly gave Al her food rations due to Al protecting her in the past. Ilvia eventually died of malnutrition and Al blamed himself after realizing Ilvia had sacrificed herself to help him live. In the present, Al is sad that he grows so much food Ilvia will never get to eat but swears to continue farming so no one starves again. A girl named Linnea requests an adventurer investigate something wrong with her town of Gal. Helen is uneasy with such a vague description so Al volunteers, hoping to examine the aspera vegetable grown in Gal. In Gal, Al notices citizens acting hypnotized. Linnea reveals she possesses an anti-hypnosis necklace and also gives one to Al. Gal's Lord Remel has Al attacked by soldiers who he easily defeats, but Linnea protects Remel, who has her parents as hostages. Remel is himself possessed by demon Vritra and via a magic crystal has hypnotized all humans. Desiring Al's strength, Vritra had Linnea lure Al there so Vritra can implant the crystal in Al's body and hypnotize the whole world. The crystal is suddenly destroyed by Helen and Ruri, ending the hypnosis. Al reveals they were his emergency backup kept secret from Linnea just in case she was also hypnotized. He helps Remel expel Vritra from his body by stuffing his mouth with aspera, which Remel is obsessed with, and Al defeats Vritra. Linnea lets Al keep the necklace as a memento, then kisses him, declaring when she is old enough she will marry him, even if he has already married another woman. Phalles learns about Linnea and is upset Al is friends with yet another woman. Al is enraged to find his fields infested with bushkillers, a viney weed. The king visits Al to convince him to marry Phalles already. This causes an argument between the girls that knocks Al unconscious. While asleep, Al has a brief vision of a winged woman. Al purchases herbicide to battle the bushkillers but is distracted saving a small girl from kidnappers. Reeks identifies her as Uria, daughter and heir of the Demon King. She reveals her caretaker Volpe had suddenly told her she was in danger and teleported her away from her father's castle. She wants Al to escort her home across the ocean. Al agrees and puts Reeks in charge of killing the bushkillers. As ships are expensive, Al instead runs Yuria across the ocean surface. They are immediately found by a hypnotized Volpe who attacks Yuria. Volpe is abruptly knocked out by Lucica, who followed Al across the ocean after learning about Yuria from Reeks. At the castle, they find Yuria's father injured and unconscious. Lucica suddenly tries to kill Yuria, revealing she is actually a disguised Ilvia, still alive and now an adult. Ilvia reveals she was resurrected by the evil god who granted her overwhelming power. Ilvia also reveals Al's lover of nature skill, which makes him so strong, was actually a gift from evil god, and that Al has already met evil god. She then demands Al swear loyalty to her or she will kill his family and friends. Time suddenly freezes and Al meets the winged woman again, revealed to be good god, who removes evil god's power from Al and replaces it with her own. With his new power, Al rescues Yuria, so Ilvia teleports away, promising to see Al soon. Falles leaves the palace while her sinister maid, Albi, acts as her body double. Al believes it was evil god who erupted the volcano when he was young and asks Testa about it, but Testa remembers nothing. Al invites Testa to the city but he refuses, privately revealing he cannot leave the village for a mysterious reason. Al almost loses against an orc and realizes losing evil god's lover of nature skill has cost him most of his power. Reeks delivers a letter from Lucica, who is in the middle of an important investigation. Al decides to continue as a normal farmer adventurer until he can learn more about evil god. Ilvia looks forward to seeing Al again. So that's where we're going to leave off on this video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this. So I'll see you in the next one.